Question: is the coronavirus man-made? If so, what was the purpose for creating it?
Answer: the virus was not directly man-made, but it was certainly originated in a human lab, and it got out of control in testing phases, where it mutated into what it is today. As it won't surprise anyone, it was created as a biological weapon for different purposes, population control among them.
Question: you're saying the purpose of this virus is population control? If so, what type of population is intended to be eradicated, and by whom?
Answer: like I mentioned before, this virus got out of control in testing phases. It wasn't meant to be used right away, so it's not targeted to a specific group of people at the moment, but its purpose was to be deployed in places where the population was to be curtailed in the future. As to whom was behind this process, we don't feel it's safe for you to give you such information.
Question: you're saying this virus wasn't to be used at this time, but it was going to be used eventually. Again, what type of people was this virus supposed to eliminate, originally?
Answer: the most vulnerable in human society, those who don't have the means or resources to combat an infection of this type. A group of people was supposed to have a vaccine for themselves, hidden from public knowledge, so they would be immune to the virus, while the rest of the world was to be devastated by it. Because the virus got released ahead of time, this vaccine has not yet been perfected, but when it does, it will remain hidden until this group of people is fully protected, and only then it will be released to the rest of the world. This is only if the current scenario is to be prevented. If this group of people decides to accelerate their plans, they may use the current global situation for the original purposes they intended to obtain in the future.
Question: can you tell me specifically who this group of people is?
Answer: not by name or organization, but it goes without saying that it's a group of people with vested interests in controlling the entire world, which they feel can only be done if the population is maintained at a much lower number than what it currently is. They are not concerned with human life other than the ones of their direct relatives and friends, so it doesn't matter to them how many people get eliminated at a certain point in time.
Question: why is that so? Wouldn't a larger amount of people equal more people to be controlled? In other words, the more the merrier?
Answer: no. The more people there are, the more chances of getting individuals with independent thought and awareness. The more people there are, the more chances that some of these people will understand what this group is doing and will try to prevent their plans from happening. That's why this group need less people in the world. Enough people to keep their factories, farms and other services functioning for them, but not enough to question their authority. If you need any further examples, analyze human history during the period of the Dark Ages. That's a perfect example of how this group wants to run things.
Question: from all you're saying, is this really a situation of us versus them? Is there nothing you or others around you can do about it?
Answer: as we've told you in the past, the no intervention clause placed on all of us around the planet is valid until we see the planet is in total downfall, which hasn't occurred yet, and it may not come to be this time around. If anything, the current situation is pretty much a lifting of the veil for the entire world, of what may happen in the future if things don't change. In other words, the global fear can be considered as a dire warning of something a lot bigger and a lot more disastrous in the future.
Question: are you saying that we will be fine from the coronavirus pandemic?
Answer: at this moment, we feel this will be fully contained in the upcoming months, in spite of what your current health authorities are saying. But again, we only have access to a bunch of your timelines, and the one most likely to take place in this current time is one where the world will be safe from a global disaster, and where the situation will be used as an example for things to avoid in the future. In spite of this, you need to understand, we are not gods and we are not saviors. We are witnesses for the most part. Some things may happen in the near future that fully change your current timeline, but as it is, we feel positive about it.
Question: you have said a couple of times now that we need to learn something from this virus outbreak. What is exactly what we need to learn from it? Can you give us any guidelines?
Answer: we mentioned before our main role here is to be witnesses to what is taking place on planet Earth at this given point in time, and so, the lessons you need to learn are yours to discover. The main changes need to take place in a higher power hierarchy than what most humans are aware of. We mentioned in one of your previous experiments that a sort of game has been taking place on Earth for millennia, with the final goal of total control of the planet at stake. So, this group of people we have mentioned before are still playing this game. They're still trying to do their worst before realizing they have already lost the game. They don't want to give up. They want to grasp what little control they still have on people as much as they can. They realize there's nothing else for them to do other than hoping they can turn things around for them, and that is why they develop ploys such as deploying viruses in order to curtail the human population.
Question: I don't think you ever mentioned before that this group already lost the game. If that's the case, who won the game then?
Answer: that will come into play in the distant future, and it will be something that will gradually be realized by the entire world. It may be a little presumptuous of us to say this group lost the game, if we deeply think about it, but that is what most timelines seem to show, and it's what we have the most information on. They lost the game, but there is a chance they may either revert the results, or make it so the winners have nothing to work with once they accept defeat and retire from the playing ground.
Question: it feels quite horrifying that millions, or maybe billions of people dying can be considered a game? Is this really the best way to look at this entire situation?
Answer: what you consider horrifying or not is something that dwells inside you, and it has no bearings on how the universe develops inside itself. We have mentioned before that good and evil doesn't exist in the universe. Everything is just constant action in one direction or another, and we have mentioned, indirectly, that everything that is taking place right now has already happened. Everything that there is or will ever be has already been. If you don't want this process to be deemed as a game, then you just can call it that, a process.
Question: I'm starting to feel the weariness of the experiment. Can you give us some final words for this session? What can we expect to happen in the world in the upcoming years?
Answer: going back to what we just said, the process already started a while ago, and you are still in the beginning stages of it. There's much to happen in the planet in the rest of this century, and everything taking place right now is the building blocks for it. The planet is ready for a more alert and aware society, which will make those who refuse to work alongside it have a much more difficult time as the world readjusts to what will be occurring eventually. You can expect a lot of fear in society, as change is seldom well received, particularly by those who desperately want things to stay the same. The human saying of, "It gets darker before dawn," could be very well applied in this current situation, and it's probably advisable that you all are prepared for it. Don't succumb to fear, look for solutions, work together, but don't allow fear to be your driving force. Be smart, and if you ever needed it before, get in touch with your inner selves. You have been told before that all the answers are inside you, and this is the time to fully realize that. We will be here whenever you need to reach us again, and we will always welcome your future inquiries. Always remember, stay honest in your own truth.